Greg and I have just returned from a 2-week trip to London and New York. This is the second time we've travelled to those markets in the last year. The last time was in March. We've been doing this actually together for the last 4 years or so, but independently for the last 20 years. These trips are crucial because at the end of the day, we are investing in people, not markets. And so therefore it's the capability of those people that is so crucial. And so these trips are very much about auditing the people that we're investing in, their capabilities, how they're performing together as a team, because at the end of the day, that is actually what delivers the returns.
You know, after 20 years, you know, I'm still surprised just by that quality, and it's, you know, it's always a reassuring thing. I think probably the most notable thing the first week was in London, was just how the mood had changed in the last 6 months. You know, in March there was a general level of optimism that you know, there'd be QE in Europe and you'd see a replay of what happened in the US. There are real doubts about that now.
Yeah, and also the very, very strong flows coming in, especially from the US into European equity markets, was really quite pronounced back in March.
You know, that's one tight theme around Europe. In a big picture sense though, we're encouraged by the fact that you've got divergent monetary policies around the world now. The US is at the end of QE and starting to think about raising interest rates. Japan, Europe doing the complete opposite, so that's encouraging.
And it's that divergence that we're starting to get quite excited about, because for the last 5-6 years, everything's been correlated. You had zero interest rates around the world, you had monetary policy, quantitative easing coming through in the US. It's provided huge amounts of liquidity, so equity markets being correlated to bond markets, to other assets as well, especially things like property. Now we're starting to see a breakdown of that correlation, and this divergence in monetary approach by different central banks is creating a huge opportunity for our equity managers. That stock picking capability will be rewarded, because you would be rewarded for your ability to pick the right stocks and not own the stocks you don't want to own, whereas for the last 6 years you've been rewarded by just being in the market.
So if you own, you know, if you own Apple, the price of Apple is going to move according to the latest release rather than Spanish bond yields or something. So that's encouraging, and for us, that's what we want to see, because, you know, we've had a bull market in equities for the past 3 or 4 years. That seems to be ending, but hopefully, and the signs are encouraging, it can be replaced with a bull market in manager skill.
And I think the other thing that's coming through quite strongly, and it's something that you and I talk about a lot, is the increase in volatility that we're finally starting to see in markets.
You know, over the past year or so, we've built a portfolio that we think can benefit from higher volatility. We're starting to see that. We're seeing, you know, these divergences happening. That's also positive for us. Probably a stronger US dollar, which again, you know, if that puts downward pressure on New Zealand, as it seems likely, that's also positive for us. So all in all, we're encouraged.
The New Zealand dollar.
Yeah.
Yes.
Downward pressure on the New Zealand dollar.
Yes. Yeah. So we feel that we're moving into an environment where manager skill will actually provide returns, as opposed to just the markets going in one particular direction.